Kanye's dropping vultures not on streaming platforms, and he's charging $20. So I actually had like a perspective on this that I wanted to see what y'all thought. So $20, that's kind of a lot. I feel like that's actually more than what albums used to cost. I'm pretty sure if you went to the CD store 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was that we were still buying CDs, it was like 10, 15 bucks. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe if it was a Kanye album, you would actually pay more just because he's an icon. But here's the thing. They're saying that streaming platforms are basically destroying the music industry, which potentially could be or could not be true, because it's hard to actually make like, if you think about it, to make $100 or say $100,000 in a year. So that means like that's a good starting salary for a person to be rich, right? $100,000. So if you're selling CDs for like $10 each, so what's the math right there? 100,000 divided by 10. You just take off the zero. You have to sell 10,000 CDs. Back in the day, some artists like Taylor Swift, Lil Wayne, whatever, Eminem, have sold 1 million copies in the first week. So it's easy to make money that way. However, streams, to make $100,000, you got to make let's see. You got to be divide by 0.004. You got to get 25 million streams. So that means you need way more fans than you need 25 million. Whereas in the first week, if you got 10,000 fans, you only needed 10,000 fans to make $100,000 back in the day. Now you need 25,000 people to stream your songs once to make 100,000. So the whole thing was, Kanye was saying, or Ty Dolla $ign was saying, that him and Kanye were thinking about not, here it was. Yay Fanatics posted it. So Vultures 2 won't be released on Apple Music, Spotify, or Tidal. Will it only be available on Yeezy.com? Can we get 1 million people to buy the album? When we do that, we don't have to do the streaming companies in control of the artists anymore. Yeah. But at the same time, people have gotten so used to streaming. Like I myself, like I'm not going to pay for a CD when I can literally just get any song for free. Or I don't even know if it's the streaming platforms either, because MTV or YouTube, which I guess are technically streaming platforms, or MTV was cable, they already ruined it. But YouTube was alive before Spotify. So a lot of people that blame Spotify for actually starting the streaming era, it's kind of YouTube. So like Google, right? But again, because we have it at our disposal for free and it's ad supported, same thing as Spotify. Yes, you can buy subscriptions. I do, so that you don't get ads. And same thing with Apple Music or Tidal. It's hard to actually sell to these people. Now, I don't think we can go back. Spotify definitely made it worse. Yeah, for sure. I agree. But then Spotify is the one that actually gets the subscription, but it turns into almost like a Netflix kind of deal. Actually, Netflix low-key ruined it all, because Spotify is getting subscription revenue, and then you can basically rent any sort of song you want for free after you pay the subscription. Same thing like Netflix, before it was a streaming platform, Netflix was like you can pick any movie and they'll mail it to you. You mail it back, they'll send you another one, and all you got to do is pay a monthly subscription. They just now have upgraded to a streaming app and discontinued all of the physical shit. So it was a lot of companies low key. It's just a slow progression of ruining it. So that's why I tell y'all, like, I don't even know if it's technically like if Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign, who are huge artists, massive. Kanye obviously is an icon, a living legend, a GOAT. And I'll stand on that. I don't think anyone would argue with that, because a lot of people would be like, oh, he's not actually a legend. But no, he is. if they're even talking about how like they're not getting paid much from these streaming platforms, meanwhile they have a #1 song, these smaller artists that we talk about most of the time, the underground ones, they ain't making shit. The labels are taking huge chances. That's why some of these artists that I've talked about before, like only getting like, 100K advances or 70K advances. Bro, that's not shit for like 5 years. That's like 20K a year if you're getting 100K advance, and then you're not recouping that shit forever. And then, as I said before, you need 25 million streams to recoup that 100K that the label gave you. So it just doesn't make sense. So I agree, like the streaming kind of fucked up everything. Also, people don't want to go to festivals and concerts as much as they once did because we're all glued to our phones. I myself as well. You can stream on music videos on YouTube. You can stream on Spotify, so less people are buying tickets. Like I don't know what the fix is. I feel like just streaming is just fucking up all of the industries. You got to be a stream god to actually make a lot of money, or you have to convince people to buy your merch, which people do like fashion still. And Kanye is in a good position because he is, he has Yeezy, so he's a fashion icon as well. But again, if you're like a, upcoming artist, like you got a long way. Inflation, Bob, and the economy is horrible. I mean, facts. Yeah. Inflation just makes it even if you're making 100K, like that's really not gonna get you that far either. So I mean, think about it from the DSP point of view. They can't pay much more than they already do. Yeah, I agree. So how Spotify, I believe, pays out is they take all the subscription revenue, they take their percentage of whatever it is, and then they take the rest of the money and then they pool it together and divide it by the amount of streams that they got over like a certain period, and then they pay out like evenly. And then that's why it's kind of like a rolling payout per stream. Also, they base it on the demographics, like US streams pay out more, whereas if you're doing it in like Korea or China or whatever, where it's like basically fake, or the socioeconomic status, like they're not actually, they don't actually buy shit that the advertisers are advertising onto the streaming platform, then those pay out less. Unless they have a premium account, those pay out the most, I believe. But yeah, I mean, at the same time though, how did bands in the real world, like 100 years ago, make money? I guess they made it on the radio. Did people even have CDs? I guess they had vinyls and whatnot, but I feel like it was all based on shows and festivals. It's by being a performer. I feel like now that it's turned into more of a digital space, and there are so many fucking people trying to make music and creating videos and streaming online or whatever, that like you're bound to just, it's bound to just be marketing. And that's what it turns into. Just streaming doesn't really pay well. You're just using that as marketing to make a move elsewhere. Like look at Can. Can got his streams up, got famous, got a deal for like whatever it was, hundreds of thousands of dollars with Empire, or a distribution deal. Then he moved it into fashion in his brand, Double R. Now he's killing it. And now he makes probably like $10, $20 per item that he sells per fan. Whereas all these other rappers, like they're fighting for 20 or just one. No, think about it. The $20 that Can just made off of one hoodie, another person to make that $20 had to get what, like 5K streams, something like that. So if you think about it, albums are literally marketing now. Yes. So, and I don't know the right answer, so I'm just like talking and seeing what y'all think. Kanye drops an album, but then he basically pays for the marketing by, or at least markets the album by doing the listening parties and making a huge spectacle of it and previewing music with the people live there, his fans. And then they also buy tickets, so it pays for itself. And so the streams are basically coming for free, right? And then also he got the Super Bowl commercial where it was promoting his Yeezy brand, where he sold them for $5 or $20, whatever it was, the new hoodies and shoes and shit that he was selling, but also technically promoted his album because that was the same week. So he got like double the marketing out of it. So again, you basically don't want to market your albums. You want to market people buying physical shit. That is how, or like digital stuff, but like actually purchasing music or purchasing vinyls, purchasing merch. Like that's what you actually want to market, because the streaming era, we can't go back. That's all I'm going to say. It shouldn't have to be that way. Being an artist should make enough, but labels and streaming just doesn't want to pay more, even though they can. I mean, also at the same time, if we go back to the Renaissance period, like when there were painters back in the Roman Empire or whatever it was, the Renaissance era, artists weren't really making money. Most artists, even painters and shit, don't actually make money. So are we just spoiled that music artists and rappers have become such a phenomenon and like famous? And again, people pay to go see them. That's where, or like they pay to get a painting, a one of one type deal. But streaming almost like democratized the song. Now, if an artist actually sold you a copy, almost like a group buy or a private buy, sure, they can make hella bread. Imagine if Cardi did that, or Juice WRLD. They made like 100 songs, right? And they sold off each song for $5,000 to this one fan. They could share it with other people if they wanted, but like it's their song. It's like an NFT. They can make $500,000 off that. So I don't know what the move is. The streaming era definitely fucked it up. Kanye's definitely, I don't know if he'll figure it out, but he's definitely going to try. But the digital era, like sharing information and songs, touring is around 90% of artists' revenue. Yes, but not necessarily the label. But that's why the labels have to, at the same time, buy masters from artists. So a lot of people think like, oh, he's in a slave contract, where his masters? Like, labels aren't going to make their money back 9 out of 10 times. And if they do, they're going to make it back in the next like 10, 15 years. So they low-key got to own the masters so that they can make their money back. But then they own it, so then they can sell it to another company for like, 2x of what they actually paid you in the first place. So there's a whole like rich people game like that. I want to get to it eventually. That's where like you hear about Future selling his discography for $100 million, or Lil Wayne selling it for 300. Drake could probably sell his shit for like potentially $1 billion, because Michael Jackson, I think, was going for like 600 million, and that was a while back. So inflation and everything, that shit might be worth $1 billion at this point too. If they ain't making money, what's the point? I mean, that's what they're talking about nowadays with blue collar jobs. I mean, most people in America don't actually do anything at their job. I can say that to you right now. Like with my job, I'm just like a fucking pencil pusher. Like, oh yeah, let's have a touch point bi-weekly every couple of days, blah blah blah, and we'll align. Everybody's just going through the motions. So an artist, like they're providing culture, but like they're not plumbing your toilet or whatever. So that's why back in the day in Renaissance era, like they didn't get paid, because they weren't actually doing like anything to, I don't know, fix something or create something. But I do feel like they do create a culture. It's just that there's a lot of artists. There's a lot of artists that are contributing to the culture. So maybe that's why, because there's so many people streaming, so many people creating content on YouTube, so many live streamers, so many of everything. So that's why only the top people are making hella bread. But that's kind of how it is even in the real world, right? You sit and answer emails for 80K, no one does anything work. Exactly, bro. I don't even check my email. I'm like, fuck that. If you need to hit me up, Hit me up on Teams.